In this video I'm playing with 4 other Grandmaster rank players who are purple, orange, green and yellow, and 1 Master rank player who is blue. I continue 5 Grandmasters versus 1 other rank series. It wasn't planned once again, but the most active players who join the subscriber game seem to be Grandmasters, so that really makes sense. And actually the more experienced players there are in the game, the more challenging and at the same time interesting to play, well, as long as the game doesn't become a stalemate, of course. But in subscriber games we try to attack a lot and get to the 3-player situation as soon as possible. Whoever becomes the strongest is expected to attack the most, so turtling players couldn't just take the advantage when others are doing all the dirty work for them. So if the strongest player just turtles, then we tend to switch our attention on attacking him. And another preference for the stronger players is to focus on the weakest players in general, as attacking other stronger players would make more or less the situation among all the 6 players balance, meaning the game would be more likely to stalemate. So for the strongest players I would say it's the best to focus on the weakest players, so unless someone from the strongest players turtling, then it would make sense to attack that turtling player if the main goal is not to prolong the game. But for the weaker players, of course, it would be better that the stronger players would turn on each other. That's in their best interest to survive. So when you're one of the weakest, then your goal is to come up with something that wouldn't make the strongest players target you. If you can possibly turn other stronger players on each other on, then it can be very good for you. At the end a lot of can come to the diplomacy, so whether you're one of the stronger or weaker players, just see which players it would make the most sense to be allied with, or to stay in alliance with. Anyways, it seems the blue player didn't join this game to play seriously. He wastes a lot of troops on others when sending the laugh emojis, and that will probably make him to be the first player to get eliminated from the game. In any case, since we are already allies, it would probably be the best to stay allied with, so he wouldn't decide to manual roll some of my armies as well. But don't get me wrong, if he becomes so weak to be worth eliminated for his cards, then I will definitely take him out as long as it's suitable for me. Probably the most important thing is that I'm allied with the orange player. He is the one who got a continent first, so obviously he should become the strongest player who will be able to decide which player he wants to start targeting and then potentially eliminate. So since he sent the alliance my way, it's less likely that I will be the one who gets targeted by him. But at the same time I know that he could have sent the alliances to everyone, or to a bunch of us. So even though I'm his ally, I'm not being overconfident or relaxed, but with the blue and purple players becoming quite weaker than the rest of others, I think the players who get continents will most likely go after them. So I believe the odds for me to end up being in the top 4 are quite high, with the orange player already being my ally, and with purple crushing his army. As you saw, I specially strengthened my North American armies, so the purple player, instead of crushing one of them, would crush the orange player's army instead, in case he still wants to get a card. At first I didn't really plan it, but since he put his army in the territory of Ontario, blocking me to combine my North American armies into one just by capturing that one territory, I decided to go for it. I think he's about to get eliminated soon, so I don't really expect for both of us to do something together. Even though it seemed kinda purposeless to be allied with him for now, I still decided to accept his alliance, as you can never know and it probably cannot be harmful somehow anyways. So with him being my second ally, I'm just not going to attack his territories, while he's probably not going to attack mine, and that's probably it for now. And to make it more clearly, by saying second ally, I didn't mean the order I've got allied with others. By saying second I mean that he was second most suitable all of my 3 allies to do something with or to be beneficially allied with. But the blue player have just got eliminated anyways, so whether by order or usefulness he is now totally second looking from either of the sides. So second best ally. Actually I'm glad the blue player was eliminated, as Africa got cleared out, so now I potentially could go for it. The orange player sent me an attack request to attack yellow by actually crushing some of the troops of him and probably suggesting me to take over Australia by crushing yellow's 13 troops, but it could have really likely been a self-destructive decision for me if I actually had gone with it. as after trading an 8 troop set and taking over Australia by crushing 13 Yellow's troops, that would have made me too weak to defend it. So then for example the green player after trading in a set would have been able to steal Australia from me crushing my troops, and if so, then it would have really ruined my position, having a very high probability to be eliminated next. So I sent thumbs up for the orange player, but instead of being very likely crazy of crushing Yellow's troops in Australia, I captured some of the territories of Yellow in Africa, at the same time suggesting the orange player to let me capture Africa, so I would not only get it, but at the same time I would see if the orange player is really serious about our alliance. And you saw he is. He moved out his army from the territory of North Africa, so I would be able to capture the continent. I was wondering if I should leave my army next to his border, so he would have a better protection with being able to use potentially more troops for the attacks, but I decided not to put my army next to his border, so he wouldn't get my message wrong, potentially thinking that I would like to attack him or stop being in alliance. And actually I don't really understand why the orange player would like to focus on the yellow player rather than purple or green. The yellow player got Australia, so he could be very useful for us to attack weaker players. And to team up on him would probably be very hard. I would obviously get invaded into Africa, and then green and purple as no continent players would be probably really willing to help out the yellow player to fight against me and orange. Well, I mean it could go either way. Maybe they would help out us to team up on yellow. But the most efficient way to continue the game is to get rid of someone who is weaker and doesn't have a continent, rather than try to mess up with one of the stronger players who could successfully hold a continent having only 1 or 2 borders. Australia only has 1 border, so the yellow player would be guaranteed getting 2 extra troops each turn until he gets eliminated. But of course if the yellow player had either North America or Europe with being able to properly guard, then it would probably make the most sense to attack him depending on how strong he is. But I think the reason why the orange player at first sent me an attack request to attack yellow, is because he potentially thought that it would be a great idea to try stealing Australia from him. So I'm very glad that after yellow getting Australia, the orange player sent me an attack request to attack another player, in this case purple. The purple player is the weakest, so it makes the most sense to try getting rid of him more than anybody else. And yeah, he's just been eliminated from the game. Now it would probably be the best to focus on getting rid of green. At least from my perspective. The green player is the one without a continent, and I already have good relationships with the orange and yellow players in this game. Plus I already saw that they're willing to attack others a lot, that the game wouldn't stalemate, so that's another good thing for me. While I'm not sure how passive or aggressive the green player would be. And finally, the green player is the only person I'm not allied with. The alliances in a smart player game don't mean a lot, but that's just another small reason. To target green is the safest for me after all. To target either orange or yellow when they would be able to successfully get continental troop bonuses, would be way much harder, especially with me being very vulnerable with Africa, so it could potentially go very wrong for me, in case the green player would decide to help the targeted player out as well. Or after all, it could become the situation when the Australian and South American players are targeting both of their opponents at once. And yeah, it seems the yellow player has joined to attacking the green player as well. So at this point I am not even sure what it would be the best for the green player to do to get out of this situation. He probably should have made alliance with someone encouraging to attack some of the players, and who knows, maybe he tried to without getting the desired result. But yeah, I mean in a 4-player situation with smart not turtling players, it really comes to the diplomacy. I mean it could have been any of us getting targeted by 3 other players. The green player was the one without a continent, so it was the easiest to start targeting him. Additionally, the alliance among me, orange and yellow, has established well during the game. While I'm not that sure about the green player, I have no idea whether he had some alliances or not. Well, even if he had, there probably any of them weren't serious. At least I didn't notice that he would try to do something together with someone. So unless the green player changes someone's mind to start attacking someone else, I think there is very high odds that he will be eliminated next, especially with him already becoming quite weaker than others. but it could still possibly become the 2 versus 2 situation until one of the players is eliminated, depending on what is on the mind of other players, what their plans are. But as you can see, to just put his troops to one big army while staying neutral isn't really working for green. Differently, it just makes quite easier for us to eliminate him from the game. It could be a good tactic playing in public lobbies where lower ranked players' goal is to expand a lot by themselves, and prevent others from having continents if possible. But in sub-games it isn't really going to work when there are more than 3 players left, as our goal is to get to the 3-player situation as soon as possible, and we wouldn't be dumb enough to destroy each other a lot of anyways, so the turtling neutral player wouldn't get so strong enough that he could decide which player to eliminate. Or even worse, to end up having more troops than the rest of the players combined. And yeah, the green player, seeing that the turtling strategy doesn't work, he invaded me into unguarded Africa, leaving his army there. Whether it's a good tactic for him or not, I don't know yet, but we will see. But the thing is that the yellow player started attacking my territories as well, while not attacking the green player anymore as much as others. So with him becoming the strongest player and hoarding troops instead of using them, I was forced to start targeting him instead of the green player. As if I had continued targeting green, then it would have made both of us to get eliminated, with a 3-player situation probably being skipped, with the game becoming yellow versus orange 2-player endgame. But now with the yellow player attacking the green player properly once again, now I'm able to crush some troops into green as well, instead of being worried of the yellow player becoming too strong. And unfortunately for green, it seems the game will be over for him. I think at that moment it was quite too late for him to try to potentially encourage other players to switch their attention from attacking him to attacking me. Well, with the yellow player potentially deciding to change his front and attacking me, maybe the situation could have changed, but I mean with the yellow player focusing on me, and with the green player already being quite weak, the orange player would have been able to eliminate him with not much issue anyways. So unless the orange player would have wanted to change his front as well, and start attacking me. But alright, the green player has just been eliminated and we got to the 3-player situation. The orange player wants me to attack yellow, while the yellow player wants me to attack orange. The orange player has been the best ally for me, but on the other hand he is becoming the strongest. And that puts me in a quite tough situation, being as no continent player. I mean, I've just captured Europe, but I cannot properly guard it, so whichever player I decided to attack to, that player will just invade me. And in case I decide to just turtle, then it would just encourage both of the players to team up on me. So it seems whatever I do, it's very likely will end up bad for me. So I need to look for and find some more options on what I could potentially do. Well, the orange player has potentially solved the dilemma for me by invading me into Europe. I was kinda looking to team up with him on yellow by me holding Europe and him South America and Africa, making the yellow player trapped in Australia and crushing the troops into him in the way that it would be equally worth to both of us. But the yellow player saw the potential threat and counterattacked that by fortifying some troops out of the blocked Australian place, so he would be able to invade us in case that happens. So then the orange player crushed a lot of troops into him, at the same turn invading me into Europe. So I just captured Africa and I'm not really sure what to do next. I mean, both of the alliances are still very possible, so I'm thinking which one would benefit me better. The orange player was still sending me the attack request to attack yellow, so to potentially team up with him with me holding Africa plus Europe, and with him both of the Americas, and at the same time to see what he is going to do, I decided not to invade him into unguarded South America. And I think the orange player has really gave me away the game here by manual rolling yellow a lot, so yellow would be worth to be taken out for his 5 cards. I have like the same number of troops as both of them combined, plus I will get some troops compensated from the yellow player's cards. Well, I noticed that it might not be enough troops. Too bad that I only lost 2 troops less than orange when crushing his South American army. Additionally, it was a mistake for me to capture those 2 extra South American territories. So because of that mistake and because of that blitz roll, which didn't really give good attackers advantage, my army ended up being too small to take out yellow without huge risk. Of course I could have still tried taking yellow out to the end, but it was very high chances that I will fail, and if I failed, then I would have ended up in the worst situation comparing to all of the 3 players, having only territories made of 1s. So anyways, now we got to the balanced state more or less. Well, I don't want to potentially make that the orange player would be accessible and worth to be taken out for yellow, but at the same time I would really like to recapture South America, to have a continent like yellow. To potentially take out orange by myself in case the yellow player continues attacking the territories of him. Yeah, I think I won't capture South America for now. Next turn I should probably attack the territories of yellow in case the orange player doesn't have a set. And oh no guys, I didn't really expect the yellow to have a 10 troop set at 3 cards. Is he going to take orange out? Well, thank God no, so the game isn't lost for anyone yet. But the yellow player is in really huge advantage. Fortunately the orange player traded in 6 troops set at 3 cards. So the game has been saved, with the yellow player only having 1 card. I'm wondering if I should try invading yellow into Australia. I mean it would be the best to try doing so for the balance, but I wouldn't necessarily be able to successfully make it. So maybe for the diplomacy point, it's better to recapture Africa, and hope that the yellow player doesn't invade it, because I didn't try to invade him into Australia. But if the yellow player had had more cards, then I would have definitely tried invading him into Australia. But to be honest I'm surprised my plan has actually worked out. I was expecting to get invaded anyways. At this point I have a 10 troop set at 3 cards, but I'm not sure whether I should trade it in or not. I was expecting orange to capture some more territories of yellow, so I would have been able to take over huge advantage. So now I'm not sure whether I still have to trade in a set. I think I would bring the players' attention to myself and they both would start attacking me. On the other hand if I don't, then I could potentially be taken out by orange, in case the yellow player weakens me too much. But knowing that the yellow player is Grandmaster, I decided to take that risk. Well, on one hand it helped yellow to keep having the advantage, but on the another one the players aren't going to team up on me since I'm not that much stronger. So it depends which side you want to look from. But now since both of my opponents are on 3 cards each, I was forced to trade in a set, so nobody would take me out for even 5 cards in case someone from them has a set at 3 cards. It was just the safest option to do so, otherwise if I had traded it in, the game could have ended for me. I'm much safer now. But even though the game is in the balanced state, it could still be over in case someone makes a bigger mistake, or doesn't have a set at the crucial moment to survive. For example the orange player could have been the one to get taken out for the cards either by me or yellow, but he got so lucky to trade in a 10 troop set at 3 cards. The orange player seems to become quite neutral, but I think he might still be on my side. But I'm not totally sure. He could be sending the attack requests for me and yellow to attack each other at the same time. And his big army is of course very intimidating. And oh wow, the yellow player doesn't have a set at 4 cards. So what do you think guys, should I bait him to attacking the territories of yellow, so I would be able to take yellow out for even 5 cards? Well, the orange player is smart, he specially blocked my army so it would be blocked from yellow, so I guess my plan is cancelled, even though I had a 10 troop set at 3 cards. Or maybe I've just missed the opportunity to win. Yeah, I think I should have traded in a set and tried taking the yellow player out. And if I had successfully done so, then I would have won the game. Well, it was definitely worth a shot, but at the same time I wasn't guaranteed to succeed, so whatever. But applauses go to the orange player because of a very smart move to block my army, as if he hadn't done so, then I would have been guaranteed to take the yellow player out getting even 5 cards. So anyways, since I'm safe now, I'm not trading in a set immediately but waiting till I be forced to do so at 5 cards, so I wouldn't appear quite stronger than others. The orange player seems to be a very good ally of mine, so I might be able to outsmart him in case he attacks the yellow player more than he has to. But now the orange player attacked some territories of mine, so even though he has his biggest army next to yellow, I don't think he is taking my alliance too seriously, and would be ready to attack me in case he would see he needs to. Also, after all, maybe he just thought that I will weaken the yellow player too much, so he would be able to take him out for his cards. In any case, I'm not sure what to do right now. I wish one of the players would get blocked somehow, so I could expand and hold a bunch of stuff. But even with someone getting blocked, another opponent would just unleash that player's army. So that it would be worth doing something. I'm trying to become quite stronger than others by not wasting too much troops other than capturing a bunch of yellow territories. So if they didn't realize that, then I would be able to successfully expand and hold some bigger continents at least for a turn, and then maybe being able to take someone for the cards and still have the advantage in the endgame with the player who is alive. The yellow player has just invaded me into South America, and actually he did great. I as the strongest didn't choose a lot of troops for attacks, so not to prolong the game it made most sense to attack me. On the other hand, I didn't want to drastically crush a lot of troops into someone, as both of my opponent's armies were made of like 20 troops, so with both of them having 5 cards each, I didn't want to accidentally ruin the game. But I mean the player whose turn after mine is yellow. So probably I could have safely crushed some of the troops into yellow without being worried to give away him for orange. And when it comes to orange, I don't really want to attack orange a lot, because he really seems to be on my side. He not only attacks the territories of yellow, but also leaves his biggest army next to yellow. That probably makes the yellow player to be quite intimidated, and at the same time yellow cannot really use his biggest army freely unless he would be fine of getting blocked. Or if yellow leaves not a lot of troops on Siam, then there is possibility for orange to take Australia from him. Well, now the orange player strangely fortified his biggest army next to me, but he sent me a heart. So I'm not completely sure, but I assume he wants to use the deadliest trap strategy against the Australian player, when the both America's player teams up with the African/European player only guarding against the Australian player, and then starting to crush some troops into him, in the way that it would be equally worth to both of the teaming opponents. But the yellow player obviously saw that coming, so to prevent us from pulling off this strategy, he moved his army from Australia to Europe, so the orange player wouldn't be able to capture it and use the strategy to team up with me. In this situation it was quite unfortunate for me because the orange player wasn't able to successfully capture Australia at the same time not clearing yellow from it out. As if he had successfully captured Australia, or if he hadn't ended up blocking that yellow's Australian territory with his biggest army on Siam, then I would have probably taken the yellow player out for his 5 cards. So at the end I just ended up of capturing a lot of territories, to increase the territorial bonus of mine, and decrease the territorial bonuses of my opponents. But yeah, the orange player got so lucky to save the game once again. Well, I'm not sure exactly how it would have ended up in the endgame with orange, in case I had taken the yellow player out. A lot of things can be really dependent on how lucky or unfortunate the blitz rolls are. Anyways, as you can see, I keep sending the heart emojis to the orange player so he would continue helping attacking the territories of yellow, while actually he should probably stay neutral or attack the territories of mine. The yellow player is getting weaker and weaker, and it seems soon enough I might afford taking him out, especially when the orange player's army is blocked in Australia. Well, actually I could potentially take the yellow player even right now, but not totally sure whether I could afford it. I wouldn't like to miserably fail. I mean, I knew I had enough troops, but wasn't sure whether I would be having the advantage in the endgame with orange. But probably with the orange's player army being blocked, I would have been able to go with it. So it looks like a missed opportunity once again, but on the other hand the time was running out fast and I didn't have a lot of time to think about that when I realized the opportunity. The terrible thing is that the orange player noticed that, so obviously he moved out army from Australia next to me and invaded me into Africa. He understands well that otherwise the game can be over. But I mean, maybe at the end my opportunity hasn't gone yet with the yellow player not having a set at 3 cards. So let's go, guys. Let's see how it goes. The yellow player has been eliminated, so now it's the end game with the orange player, which I am not that sure how it is going to go yet. It seems I have more troops, but the orange player is supposed to get the attacker's advantage, crushing my army if he goes for that. And also you almost never lose any troops capturing the opponent's territories made of ones. Thank God he doesn't have a set though. But wow, that was so fortunate blitz roll for him. I lost 8 troops more than him. And his army wasn't even quite bigger than mine to be supposed getting such a good attacker's advantage from that. At the end I still was left with a bunch of territories, and with being able to trade in a set I think I have just won the game. I think there's no way he makes a comeback from that. It would be so unlikable. If you guys enjoyed watching this video, then I would recommend checking some of these out as well. Watching more videos will help you to progress so much faster. Highly increase your skills by simply watching Risk videos.